Hey, welcome to the very first episode of Build Your House Yourself University by BYHYU. I'm your host and fellow student, Michelle Nelson. And together we'll learn about residential construction and we'll demystify the building process so you can build your dream house with or without a general contractor. In this first episode, I'll tell you who this podcast is for and what to expect from the show. Build Your House Yourself University will help you design, plan, and manage the construction of your dream house. I'll explain complex building concepts in simple, easy to understand terms. I think of us as a community of informal residential construction students, myself included. I want to demystify the building process by revealing the secrets, tips, and tricks of experienced builders and tradespeople. So whether you're a prospective owner-builder who wants to build your house with little or no oversight by a general contractor, or whether you're someone who wants to hire a builder but wants to be able to make educated decisions about the construction of your new home, this podcast is for you. And guess what? This podcast is for me too, because I want to learn as much as I can about residential construction before my husband and I start building our dream home. So I started this podcast because I thought that the research that I'm going to be doing for myself would be helpful to others. My thinking is, if we do our due diligence, our research, our preparation before we start construction, we'll actually start construction with the most difficult part of the project behind us. So let's put in the time, the effort, the preparation, and research before we break ground, and then the rest of the project will be much easier and more enjoyable. Okay, so what this podcast is not. This is not a typical DIY show. We won't focus on what I call hammer-in-hand approach of construction, although we will give some insight about what types of projects are suitable for lay people to tackle. I work full-time, and I don't have the time, talent, or frankly, the interest in doing the physical work on my house. So BYHYU, Build Your House Yourself University, will focus on us learning to coordinate the labor and laborers of construction, but we won't go into how to do the actual labor ourselves. Instead, we're going to focus on understanding the management of the design-build process. I'll be talking about energy efficient and practical house design, financing, permits and inspections, as well as hiring, scheduling, and managing subcontractors. I'll also introduce you to some cutting edge and tried and true building products and services. So whether you want to hire a builder or not, listening to this podcast will help you become an educated consumer. So let's talk a little bit about the format. At the start of most shows, I will define a construction term, what I call a pro term. So you will become familiar with industry lingo and better understand the language of subcontractors and inspectors. Sometimes there'll be a mini lecture on residential construction, mostly taught by me, and it'll be on things like roofing, foundations, framing, countertops, etc. Sometimes there'll be episodes with interviews with industry experts and experienced owner builders. So if you know someone who's already been down this road of building their own home, or if you know an industry expert who would like to be on the show to teach us, then contact me at info@byhyu.com. That's info@byhyu.com. This show will also include some product reviews. Sometimes I'll be sharing what I've learned in researching different building and design products, and sometimes we'll have guests from various companies who will introduce us to their products. And finally, at the end of most episodes, there will be a 2 or 3 question quiz about the information that was presented during the podcast. Remember now, I'm calling this Build Your House Yourself University. So I think quick quizzes that will summarize what we learned will be kind of fun. Okay, so here's the disclaimer. I'm no expert, and I'm going to be learning right along with you. So if it's expert advice you want, you should probably ask an actual expert about your specific project. This podcast won't be able to give specific recommendations or advice for your individual house plans. And even the industry professionals that we talk to can only offer general information, and that information may or may not be appropriate for your house. So take what you hear in this podcast as our opinions and our best attempt at sharing what we've learned and experienced, and not definitive recommendations for your home. In fact, If the information that you hear on this show is contrary to what you've learned or experienced, I want to hear from you. There's often more than one way to do something. So I want to hear about your opinions and your solutions to building challenges, what you found in your research. I'd like BYHYU to become a community where we share our knowledge. And since I'm a student just like you, I'm interested in learning what you've discovered, just like we would in a study group. I don't know about you, but I've had some of my best learning done in study groups where peers get together and simplify complex concepts. That's the whole idea behind this podcast. Well, that's it for our first episode. If you've just stumbled upon this show and you think it'll be helpful to you, go ahead and subscribe to it in iTunes. That way you'll always be able to find us under the My Podcasts tab. All you have to do is go under the podcasts icon in your iPhone, then search for Build Your House Yourself University or BYHYU, and then push the subscribe button. I can't tell you how many times I've just stumbled upon a show, loved it, forgotten to subscribe, and then completely forgot the name of the show and was unable to listen to it. So go ahead and subscribe if you think it will be helpful. In the next episode of Build Your House Yourself University, we'll be discussing the pros and cons of being your own general contractor. I hope you'll join me. Thank you for listening. Talk to you later.